Today we are talking about an industry operating the most sophisticated legal robbery in consumer history. Not metaphorical robbery, structural robbery. A system so precisely engineered, from raw material sourcing to bottle design to celebrity face, that most consumers have no idea the product inside the bottle they just paid $300 for costs between $3 and $8 to manufacture. That is not an estimate. That is an industry average supported by fragrance industry cost analyses, manufacturing disclosures and brand acquisition documents, and testimony from perfumers who left major houses and no longer have ND as binding their honesty. The liquid inside a luxury perfume bottle, the actual fragrance concentrate, the alcohol carrier, the stabilizers, represents between 3% and 8% of the retail price in most cases. The bottle costs more to manufacture than the juice inside it. The box costs more to produce than the fragrance it contains. The celebrity contract, the advertising campaign, the department store counter real estate. This is where your $300 goes. You are financing a marketing apparatus and receiving a small quantity of fragrance as a receipt. Here is what else the industry conceals. The fragrance trade secret exemption allows the word fragrance to hide hundreds of undisclosed compounds in your shampoo and moisturizer. In fine fragrance, it operates in its most extreme form. A perfume bottle contains no ingredient list whatsoever in the United States, none required by law. You are absorbing an entirely undisclosed chemical formulation through your skin daily with zero information about what it contains. Independent testing of luxury perfumes has found phthalates, endocrine-disrupting plasticizers making scent last longer across the prestige spectrum, synthetic musks accumulating in human tissue, allergens at concentrations requiring EU disclosure that US law does not mandate. And the perfumers who actually create these fragrances, the people whose noses built the olfactory identities of the world's most celebrated scents, are almost never the names on the bottle. Their contracts often prohibit disclosing which fragrances they created. The person whose name is on the bottle is a celebrity or fashion house. The person who made the smell is an anonymous contracted specialist you will never hear about from the brand. We tracked the manufacturing cost analyses, ingredient testing data, perfumer credit records, and the ownership consolidation, turning what were genuinely independent creative houses into margin-generating assets for 3 or 4 conglomerates who now own almost everything you think of as luxury fragrance. Subscribe right now before we get into this. Share it before you buy another bottle, or before someone you care about pays department store prices for something this video will permanently change how you see. Number 7. Calvin Klein CK1. CK1 launched in 1994 and genuinely changed perfumery, the first major unisex fragrance marketed to Generation X, a cultural moment that earned its place in fragrance history. That was 1994. CK1 today is a Coty Inc. product wearing a Calvin Klein label. Coty also owns Marc Jacobs fragrances, Burberry Beauty, Hugo Boss, and Gucci fragrances. The creative autonomy and cultural edge of the original exist nowhere in the corporate structure behind the current bottle. CK1 retails for $60 to $90. At eau de toilette concentration and Coty's manufacturing economics, the liquid costs a few dollars to produce. You are paying overwhelmingly for a 30-year-old brand memory and Coty's retail infrastructure. The formula has been reformulated multiple times since 1994, partly due to ingredient restrictions, partly due to cost management. The CK1 you buy in 2026 is a cost-optimized approximation of a generation-defining fragrance, manufactured by a conglomerate that owns the trademark but not the original creative intent. Number 6. Chanel No. 5. This is not a claim that Chanel No. 5 is a bad fragrance. It is one of the most important fragrances ever created. Ernest Beau's 1921 aldehyde revolution belongs permanently in olfactory history. What is not legitimate is the price-to-value proposition Chanel has built around that history in 2026. Number 5, EDP retails for around $150 for 50 milliliters. The fragrance has been reformulated multiple times, most significantly due to IFRA restrictions on Jasmine Absolute and Rose components the original required. The number 5 you buy today contains a lower concentration of the natural materials that defined it than any previous version in its history. You are buying the most diluted, most reformulated version of number 5 ever sold at the highest price it has ever carried. Fragrance industry analysts estimate the manufacturing cost of number 5 EDP at under $10 for 50 milliliters. The bottle, the box, the counter placement, and the advertising represent the majority of your $150. You are paying for a century of brand mythology built on a formula that no longer exists in its mythologized form. Number 5. Dior Sauvage. Currently one of the best-selling fragrances in the world, the Johnny Depp campaign, The Desert, The Darkness, The Raw Masculinity, is among the most effective fragrance advertising in recent memory. LVMH owns Dior. Sauvage was created by perfumer François Demachy. His name is publicly credited, a genuine rarity worth acknowledging. The fragrance itself is ambroxan-forward, clean, and immediately accessible, designed for the widest possible demographic appeal while maintaining luxury positioning. That is a commercial brief, not a creative one. The result is genuinely inoffensive, broadly likable, and utterly safe, qualities making perfect commercial sense and limited artistic sense. Sauvage EDP retails for around $130 for 60 milliliters. The ambroxan defining its character is a synthetic aroma chemical, not inherently problematic, but not the rare natural ingredient the wilderness imagery implies. Independent cost analyses place the liquid manufacturing cost well under $10 per bottle. LVMH also owns Givenchy, Guerlain, Bulgari, Acqua di Parma, and Sephora's retail infrastructure. Buying Sauvage puts money into a conglomerate controlling so much fragrance distribution that independent perfumers struggle to reach consumers without LVMH's blessing. The dominance is a market structure problem the $130 Sauvage purchase actively sustains. Number 4. Viktor and Rolf Flower Bomb. Flower Bomb defined a certain aspirational femininity in 2005 and has never relinquished that position. The grenade bottle, the pink, the floral sweetness explosion. L'Oréal owns the Viktor and Rolf fragrance license, the same L'Oréal owning Lancôme, YSL Beauty, Giorgio Armani Beauty, and Valentino Beauty fragrances. The fragrance was created by perfumers at Givaudan, the world's largest fragrance ingredient house, on commercial brief. The Patchouli and Sambec Jasmine Accord is a recognizable commercial floral oriental construction. It smells expensive. It smells exactly the way the marketing says it should. Flower Bomb EDP retails for around $150 for 50 milliliters. Independent analyses consistently identify the grenade bottle, genuinely expensive to manufacture, as representing a significant proportion of manufacturing cost. You are paying substantially for a glass object that will be discarded when the fragrance finishes. The juice inside was created by contracted perfumers whose names will never appear on packaging alongside Viktor and Rolf's. Number 3. Jo Malone London. Jo Malone London convinced the middle market that cologne concentration, the weakest, shortest-lasting fragrance tier, is worth $150 per bottle. That is a genuine marketing achievement and a genuine consumer problem simultaneously. Estée Lauder acquired Jo Malone London in 1999. Jo Malone herself departed in 2006, citing loss of creative control. The brand carrying her name has been operated by Estée Lauder for 20 years without its founder. The apothecary aesthetic, the cream and black ribbon, all maintained by a New York corporation as margin-generating brand assets. Jo Malone fragrances are eau de cologne concentration, around 2% to 4% fragrance oil and alcohol. Most last 2 to 4 hours on skin before requiring reapplication. You are buying a $150 bottle requiring multiple daily applications. The combining culture Jo Malone built, layering 2 cents for a personalized effect, is a legitimate olfactory concept that conveniently doubles your consumption rate. You are paying for the cream box and the black ribbon and Estée Lauder's retail infrastructure wearing British apothecary clothing. Number 2. Yves Saint Laurent Black Opium. Black Opium is L'Oréal's fragrance cash machine, consistently ranking among the top 5 best-selling women's fragrances globally. The coffee and vanilla accord is immediately appealing, instantly recognizable, and, the key commercial fact, constructed to be identifiable from across a room, which is how fragrance sells itself to other potential buyers in social settings. The fragrance was created by perfumers at Givaudan and IFF, working collaboratively on a commercial brief. Their names are not on the bottle. Yves Saint Laurent is on the bottle. Yves Saint Laurent died in 2008. The brand is owned by Kering, also owning Gucci, Balenciaga, and Bottega Veneta fragrances. Black Opium EDP retails for around $130 for 50 milliliters. The coffee accord driving its appeal is built primarily on synthetic aroma chemicals, ethyl, vanillin, and hedione alongside natural coffee, absolute present at a fraction of what the name implies. The opium heritage borrows cultural weight from the original 1977 YSL Opium, a genuinely transgressive fragrance with genuine artistic intent, and redirects it toward a mainstream coffee vanilla commercial construction. You are paying for the name on the box. The name belongs to a deceased designer. The brand belongs to a luxury conglomerate. The fragrance was made by anonymous contracted specialists on a commercial brief. Number 1. Tom Ford Private Blend Collection. Tom Ford Private Blend is the pinnacle of luxury fragrance pricing, $300 to $500 per bottle, marketed on the premise that extreme price reflects extreme quality, rare ingredients, and genuine artistic exclusivity. Estée Lauder launched Tom Ford Beauty in 2006. Tom Ford himself is genuinely involved as creative director. His aesthetic identity shapes the brand. This is not the Joe Malone situation. Tom Ford is present. What is not present at $300 to $500 is a manufacturing cost justifying the price tier. Fragrance industry analyses of ultra-luxury pricing consistently find that the Tom Ford Private Blend cost-to-retail ratio is the most extreme in the mainstream luxury market. The OUD and rare wood ingredients anchoring many private blend fragrances are genuinely expensive raw materials, but the concentrations at which they appear do not explain the price delta between a $120 niche fragrance and a $400 Tom Ford. What explains the price is the brand mythology, the sex, the black lacquer, the velvet rope positioning. The private blend name is the product. The suggestion that this is something exclusive, something separating the buyer from the mass market consumer at the Dior counter. That suggestion costs nothing to manufacture. You pay $400 for it anyway. The independent perfumery community has produced fragrances of equal or superior quality to private blend at $120 to $180 for years. Tom Ford's customer base is largely unaware of their existence. That is not an accident. LVMH, Kering, Estée Lauder, and Coty control the retail channels through which most fragrance consumers shop. Independent houses without conglomerate backing cannot achieve that visibility. Part of what you pay for at Tom Ford is the cost of never encountering what exists outside it. 3 hidden gems nobody talks about. 3 criteria define genuine fragrance value: transparent perfumer credit, a cost-to-retail ratio approaching honesty, creative intent existing independent of a commercial brief. First, Maison Margiela Replica Series. L'Oréal owns this line, a legitimate concern, but the replica concept represents something genuinely different. Each fragrance attempts to evoke a specific memory or place, rather than a demographic aspiration. Perfumers are credited. Concentrations are honestly labeled, around $160 for 100 milliliters, nearly double the volume of comparably priced competitors. The juice-to-price ratio is meaningfully better than anything else at this tier. By the Fireplace and Beach Walk have independent critical followings in the fragrance community that predate mainstream discovery, a reliable signal of genuine quality over marketing construction. Second, Commodity Fragrances, an independent American house operating outside conglomerate ownership. Perfumers credited on every release. Ingredient sourcing disclosed to a degree no conglomerate brand approaches. Fragrances built around single materials. Gold is sandalwood forward, moss is vetiver forward, allowing raw material quality to be assessed directly rather than buried in complex accord. Around $95 to $135 for 100 milliliters available directly from commodity. The absence of department store placement reflects an ownership structure owing margin to nobody. That is a feature, not a limitation. Third, Imaginary Authors. A Portland-based independent house where founder Josh Meyer writes a short story for each fragrance and commissions a perfumer to interpret it. The concept sounds precious. The execution is not. Fragrances including Cape Heartache and the Cobra and the Canary are among the most distinctive constructions available at their price point anywhere in the American market, around $95 for 50 milliliters. Perfumers credited, no conglomerate ownership, no celebrity contract, no department store counter. The entire budget goes into the juice and the story. That is what fragrance was supposed to be before a handful of conglomerates decided it was primarily a vehicle for selling advertising. The fragrance industry has constructed the most effective value-obscuring system in consumer goods. No ingredient list, no perfumer disclosure, no manufacturing cost transparency, a retail environment controlled by the same conglomerates selling the product, and a cultural narrative around luxury making you feel that questioning the price is a failure of taste rather than a reasonable consumer instinct. The hidden gems exist. They cost less and deliver more. In quality, in creative integrity, in the basic respect of telling you who made the smell you are paying for. The $300 bottle is financing a marketing department. The $95 bottle is financing a perfumer. Decide which one deserves your money. Subscribe. Tell us which luxury fragrance you are reconsidering. Tell us what we investigate next. Smell better, spend less, start there.